Welcome back for day 5 of Banned Book Week. Thank you for sticking around this long. My name is Claire, and today we are discussing, I forget which chapters. We're discussing chapters 29 through 35 of A Time to Kill by John Grisham. Today's drink of choice is just some plain Lipton tea. This was just what I was drinking before I sat down to film this video, so I just poured it from my other mug into my Banned Book Week mug, and so that's what I'm drinking today. A little boring, but it's still delicious. Cheers. So we have a lot to unpack today. First off, we have the whole vigil thing that morphed into a riot because a firebomb exploded, and that then injured and then eventually later in this section killed the, I wrote down what his title was, the Imperial Wizard of the KKK named Stump. So this has obviously rallied up the members of the KKK in the region, and so they've vowed revenge, and so we'll see what happens in the rest of this book involving the KKK. But from that storyline, the whole KKK narrative, that's the big thing that happened in this part. As we saw earlier, Jake has kind of been threatened, and so have like his friends, his family, his employees, and like people who associate with him. And so he has Nesbit as his bodyguard now, and as the story is going on, Jake is kind of calming down, but at the same time I think he still has his guard up because the trial is unfurling now. So another big thing that happened in this section was choosing the jury, and there's a big long talk about like who they want on the jury, who they shouldn't have on the jury, and it's still coming up like should we move the case elsewhere, and that the judge answered no to. This came up in previous sections where Jake was trying to move the trial elsewhere. However, Noose has said no, and no, and no, and no over and over and over again, and now that the trial is finally here, it is being held in Ford County. Honestly, I'm not sure if moving the trial would have helped since this case has become such like widespread news. Like they mentioned like, oh, we can move it to this county, but people in that county already know, so we can move it here, but they already know about it and stuff like that. And so all of this publicity issued a gag order, which basically means that no one is allowed to discuss the case to reporters and such. Buckley breaks this because he's Buckley, and so we'll see how the press and reporters relate to the end of the book. And so the jury is chosen. The all-white jury makes headlines and gets back to Carla, who is very concerned about Jake. I mentioned yesterday that I'm kind of a fan of her. I like her character. I think she's interesting. I think she plays off of Jake really well. And so I want to see how she influences the end of the book as well. Today's conversation obviously is kind of how I think and I want the characters and the plot points to play into the end of the book. And honestly, for a lot of things I don't have an answer to. I don't really know how this book will end. I'm a fan of happy endings, but I've never read a John Grisham book before, so I don't really know what to expect. But I am always down for a happy ending, and I'm okay with sad endings too sometimes, so we'll just have to see. I legitimately don't know what will become of this. And then obviously the trial has begun, and the mothers of Billy Ray Cobb and Pete Willard are witnesses that were called, and they talk about their sons, and Jake asks them some questions that are objected to, and the judge agrees and he cannot ask those questions. And I think it's interesting that they called the mothers just to remind us that people loved Cobb and Willard too. Obviously that does not excuse what they did whatsoever, but I think it's a good thing to point out. especially because it's important to see like the different sides of this case. I'm obviously very, very against Cobb and Willard, and I think they're terrible people. But it's good to see the different perspectives of the characters in a book, especially one like this where a crime has been committed, and actually several crimes have been committed, and it's interesting to see different perspectives and different takes and different people's views on different things. So obviously Jake isn't the happiest about how the jury has turned out, and it's looking like the case is tipping against him. But we will see either tomorrow or Saturday what becomes of this. I legitimately don't know. Leave your thoughts down below. Again, this was a fairly shorter video, and I think I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better at sort of not like one-taking videos or whatever, but really like organizing my thoughts into a video so I don't have to cut out as much and stuff. I think this week has really, really helped me in terms of like producing YouTube content. Like, I took a hiatus. Obviously, you can look back on my YouTube videos before this announcement. I think my last video was about a month ago. And honestly, this has really helped me get back into the swing of things as far as like YouTube, and it's really helped me like vocalize in my videos more and help me sort of like get to points that I want to get to, as my Banned Book Week discussions often do. I think I've learned the most about YouTube from these videos, and yeah, they're probably my favorite videos that I make. As I said, this is my favorite content to make, my favorite week of the year in terms of content anyways. And so I hope you're enjoying it too. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment about what you think about this section of the book. And also consider subscribing for more videos about books, movies, music, art, animation, really anything and everything artsy I love and talk about on here. Tomorrow, Friday, we are reading 36 through 42, which leaves 2 chapters for Saturday, and on Saturday we're also discussing the book as a whole and why people say we should ban it and why I think we should not. So yeah, that's about all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Specs, hugs, rock and roll. Love you.